You may hear that inventory is improving, but when you search, it still feels like there aren't enough homes. Both things can be true. I am Alex with DCI Homes, and today we're discussing a key misunderstanding in Northern Virginia real estate: total inventory versus usable inventory. Total inventory is the number of homes listed for sale. Usable inventory is the number of homes that actually meet your needs. That second number is often much smaller. For instance, a buyer might say they want Fairfax County under a specific budget. That sounds broad, but once we add filters like 3 bedrooms, a garage, manageable commute, and specific school preferences, no major renovations, reasonable HOA fees, are close to transit and available before the school year, suddenly those 80 listings shrink to just 8. That is the reality of usable inventory in our market. This is why buyers can feel stuck, even when reports say supply is rising. It's because the supply that fits is still very tight. Homes that are priced right and show well move quickly, especially in established neighborhoods with strong commuter access and limited turnover. Sellers should take note too. If you own a home that buyers are actively searching for, clean, functional, and well located, you have leverage. However, if your home has deferred maintenance, layout issues, or is priced like last year's peak, buyers may pass it by in this market. Buyers should clarify their must-haves versus nice-to-haves. Not every preference is equal, and being too rigid can cost you the right home. A finished basement might be negotiable, but commute time likely isn't. A specific countertop may be changeable, but location is not. The clearer your priorities, the faster you can identify the right house when it hits the market. Speed is a skill in Northern Virginia. Sellers need to understand their real competition. You're not competing with every home in Northern Virginia. You're competing with the 5 to 10 homes a buyer will compare against yours this week. That small pool is where the deal is won or lost. Inventory is not just a number. It's about finding the right match. The best strategy is to understand where your property fits. Now, let's turn this topic into a practical guide. This matters because it affects decisions involving hundreds of thousands of dollars. In Northern Virginia, small details can change your strategy. One street may have different buyer demand than another. One condo building can have a very different resale profile than a nearby building. One contract deadline can shift leverage completely. Imagine a buyer sees dozens of listings online, but only 3 that truly match their budget, schools, and commute. Add in parking, condition, and HOA rules, and the options become very specific. This situation appears simple, but details matter. A buyer may wonder, can I afford this? A seller might think, will buyers see the value? These are the questions we answer. An investor could ask, does this make sense after expenses? And a homeowner may simply want to avoid costly mistakes. The first key point is local context. Northern Virginia is not a single market. It is a collection of unique micro markets. Areas like Fairfax, Arlington, Alexandria, Falls Church, and Loudoun can behave very differently even in the same month. Even within the same jurisdiction, property type changes the answer. A condo buyer evaluates different risks than a detached home buyer. Let's look at 3 examples. First, Fairfax homes with garages under a certain budget. This is highly influenced by commute patterns. School preferences and property condition play a huge role here. The competition for these homes is often fierce regardless of total supply. Second, think about Arlington condos with pet and rental restrictions. The numbers may look similar on a spreadsheet, but the decision process differs due to lifestyle and the specific buyer pool. One rule change can alter the value of a unit overnight. Third, look at Ashburn townhomes with varying HOA fees and parking setups. Here, the best decision isn't always the most obvious one. High HOA fees might seem like a negative, but they often cover amenities. That sustain long-term property value in high-growth areas. The second key point is that real estate decisions combine numbers and behavior. You cannot ignore one in favor of the other. The numbers matter: price, payment, taxes, insurance, and repairs. These are the hard facts of any real estate transaction. But behavior matters too. Buyers get nervous. Sellers become emotional. Appraisals can fall short when emotions drive a price too high. A beautiful listing creates urgency, while a stale one breeds doubt. A strong negotiator understands how to navigate both sides. Before making a decision, ask, what are the numbers telling me, and what is the market behavior indicating right now? The third key point is risk management. A good real estate plan doesn't eliminate every risk. It identifies the biggest ones early. In a purchase, risks may include financing, appraisal, and inspection. These should be identified before you sign any contract. In a sale, risks involve pricing too high or accepting an offer that isn't solid. A smart plan makes these risks visible before deadlines. The goal is to handle these things proactively. You want clarity while you still have options, not when your back is against a wall. Now let's discuss common mistakes we see in our local market. Avoiding these can save you a lot of stress and money. Mistake 1 is treating every listing as a viable option by relying on national headlines. Northern Virginia has its own specific rules. National news might say the market is cooling, but a specific street in Arlington might still see multiple offers on day 1. Mistake 2 is waiting for inventory to improve without defining what usable inventory means for you personally. Real estate is emotional, but a better approach is to check documents and compare numbers before getting too committed to a timeline. Mistake 3 is ignoring condition and layout until after getting attached. This is where professional guidance is absolutely crucial. If something affects legal rights, taxes, or financing, confirm with the right professional before acting. Don't leave it to chance. For buyers, the takeaway is this. Don't treat the home search as just a list of bedrooms and bathrooms. Treat it as a system. Ask the hard questions. What is the full monthly cost? What are the building rules? What are the likely repairs coming up? A buyer who answers these questions before making an offer is usually calmer and more strategic during the negotiation phase. For sellers, the takeaway is just as important. Your job isn't just to list the property, it is to position it correctly. Positioning means accurate pricing, preparing the property, and organizing documents so the right buyer understands the value quickly. In Northern Virginia, the best results come from preparation before launch, not panic after a quiet weekend on the market. For investors or homeowners thinking long-term, consider whether the decision still makes sense under conservative assumptions. What if repairs are higher? What if rent is lower? A strong decision should remain reasonable even if conditions aren't perfect. Here's your 4-step checklist to stay ahead of the market and make a confident decision. Write these down. 1. Write must-haves and nice-to-haves before touring. 2. Track new listings by your exact criteria, not just broad filters. 3. Evaluate competition weekly. 4. Be ready to act when a usable listing appears. Don't hesitate when the match is there. By doing these 4 things, you'll be ahead of many who make decisions based on emotion or rough guesses. Preparation is power. To summarize, the right real estate decision is specific. It's specific to the county, neighborhood, and property type. That's why generic advice often falls apart. In our market, you need a clear process and local expertise, not more noise. Finally, remember, this video is for educational purposes only. Small details in real estate can have big consequences. For legal, tax, lending, or contract questions, always confirm details with the appropriate professional before you commit. Real estate content should help you ask better questions, not replace professional advice tailored to your specific situation. If you're planning to buy, sell, or invest in Northern Virginia, DCI Homes can help you focus on the details that truly matter. Reach out for a property-specific strategy, not a one-size-fits-all answer. We're here to help you navigate this market with clarity.